What's going on, everybody? LK here, back at it again with another video, and today some more Dragon Ball FighterZ for y'all. So a new character, the last character of Season 3, SSJ4 Gogeta, is joining us pretty soon. We don't have an official date, but after that, we don't really know what's going to be going on with the game. So far, all the Season 3 characters have been good. Of course, there's UI, who's the elephant in the room, but all the other characters are definitely playable, some beyond viable. So I actually, before the end of the season, wanted to take a look back at the game so far, because to be honest, I don't really know the future of this game either. I don't know if they're going to go do another season with another group of characters. Are they going to just release a new game? I've seen the discussion get tossed around a little bit every now and then this season, but now that we're actually at the last character, it's kind of been on my mind a little bit. So again, I just wanted to take a look back at what we've seen so far since we're at the end of the season. As usual, if you haven't already, definitely take a sec to like this video or subscribe to the channel if you already have not. It does help the channel grow. I do really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, to do this, I had to dig up some old tier lists. And the first tier list, we're going to start in Season 1. This one is so old, I wasn't even using Tier Maker. And here we are. I kind of schmooved on to the top left here. So this is my Dragon Ball FighterZ Season 1 tier list. This is pretty old. This is old enough that it's on Cafe. This is what I use typically for 1v1 games. And I am using the LK Classic, the honest, bullshit, top tier, low tier axis. So I know that people consider honest and bullshit to be pretty loaded language. I get it. I have a pretty specific definition of what it is. When I say a character is honest or a character is BS, it's mostly talking about how they win games, how they hit you overall. Usually in games like this is a versus game, so we're trying to do unfair stuff and really powerful strategies to each other. I get it. You might also notice a lot of characters are not in the game, but the roster looked pretty heavy. There were a lot of characters in Season 1 and a lot of DLC in Season 1 as well. The only characters I didn't rank at that time were 17 and Blue Vegeta, but looking back now, I would probably rate them pretty low and honest. They were definitely, let's say, incomplete, not that great. I don't know how to really put it. They just weren't that great. The game got patched multiple times in Season 1. There was the SSJ Vegeta patch that happened pretty early. Then there was like another patch just sorta before Evo. Then there was the big Evo patch that rocked for around like 3-4 months. Then there was the patch that didn't nerf Kaz, and that pretty much was Season 1. So at this point, we've had multiple patches. Low-key, I think I was kind of capping back then. Like, Gotenks should definitely be higher. So this tier list specifically was made, I would say, probably before the Japan saga. Another thing I would definitely change looking back is where Gotenks goes, because he should be probably around where Bardock is, to be honest. Gotenks was, as we all know, really ridiculous, and he won the Season 1 World Finals. There are a couple of themes on this tier list. So this game at that point was way more boxed in than before. And what I mean is, and if you were around back then, you will remember there were a lot of complaints about not being able to play characters. Season 3 is a little bit different. So Season 3 is just like kind of standard, oh, this character is broken, that character is broken type of thing. But in Season 1, we had that, and we had people feeling like they could not play their character, but they weren't wrong. Like, a lot of characters, they were really afraid of taking like risks with their design, and then there were characters like the enemy himself and old Bardock who were like just really, really simple, mega strong, and they just had everything that they needed. Really common themes here in Season 1 are the multi-supers. A lot of people actually still want this to come back, despite, honestly, we don't need that back. But in Season 1, if you forgot, some extremely privileged characters were able to do multiple level 1s in a super. What this means is that at the end of the combo, they were able to dump more resources in a more efficient fashion. Doing 3 level 1 supers usually does more than doing a level 3 super. So there were cases with like Cell, Bardock, SSJ Vegeta where they could do like 5 level 1s in one combo and add a ton of damage to their combo. Now the thing is, like everything else, Dragon Ball is a game about inequality. Not all the characters get all the good stuff, and not a lot of characters could do this thing. So characters like SSJ Goku, Bardock, Gohan, the classic, the enemy, Kid Buu, Tien, Cell, these characters were really good at doing this, and then other characters are not able to set this up so easily. Goku Black being a really easy example. Looking at this from memory, most of these characters can do it, but you had to definitely have certain characters with you. So, for example, like, yeah, Team Gohan could do it, but I believe you basically need Kid Buu in order to set it up. Another thing was level 3. So the mix-up was way fiercer in Season 1. Snapback wasn't super a thing besides Piccolo. So characters like Bardock especially is a standout one, but Gotenks had a really good one. Of course, Yamcha had a good one as well. Old SSJ Goku level 3 was really good. Trunks' old level 3 was really good. If not a little bit expensive on meter, he did need a whole extra bar instead of half a bar. But these situations basically led into straight up kills. So again, some characters could hang, some characters could not. And with only having one assist, it kind of made the pool of character choices pretty small. As far as this tier list goes, you didn't really see characters, let's say, under Gotenks. So Zamasu was still kind of hanging in there a little bit. People still had some hype for him because of Snap, but anyone under that Vegito to Ginyu line basically didn't see play. 16 got his legs cut off just around that batch. So now we move on to everyone's favorite season, Season 2. So Season 2 did a bunch of stuff that people really hated, honestly. But also they did a bunch of stuff that was pretty good for the game. So remember that thing I said about being able to do multiple level 1s, how the rich get richer, all that? So they took that out of the game. People were really mad about that. But the trade-off was characters themselves got to do damage more often because they got new unique tools for combos. The classic meme was you can't nerf Bardock out of the game because, of course, since everyone loved Bardock, he was the first character where people found new routes with the new ways they set up his combos, and they're like, damn, they really gave Bardock new combos because that's exactly what he was struggling with, right? Like, Bardock was not good at doing combos in Season 1, right? So one of the things that the general populace of the game really disliked about Season 2 is that they did not patch the game at all the entire year. I actually thought this was sick, and I think this tier list reflected that because a lot of things changed in Season 2 despite them not touching the game at all. This is because people just got to use the characters for a really long time and really pushed the limits of the character in that year. Hot fixes aside, because there were some silly glitches that happened every now and then, stuff similar to the Gotenks hands nerf that they gave to him because it had a damage bug. Besides stuff like that, characters unchanged. Sick. So what happened by the end of Season 2 is that people started relying on Snapback a lot because they nerfed a lot of level 3s that we talked about a little bit earlier. So characters like Bardock, like Gotenks, they can't 50-50 or even worse 4-way you off their level 3s and kill you. They did a lot of things involving changing where characters land or changing frame advantage to make it harder or impossible to do these things. So this tier list I made seems to be right after Gogeta came out. I'll probably put Season 2 Gogeta in B tier with Blue Vegeta and Videl, and Super Broly probably around A tier with like Janemba or so. The other hot topic of this tier list at this time, this is definitely made around October-ish, probably before the Spain saga, so base Vegeta went up for sure at that time. But by this point, the top characters were pretty locked in. So similarly to Season 1, there were some repeated issues. So one would be, again, people felt like they were forced to play certain characters, but not for exactly the same reasons as Season 1. So the big one, the elephant in the room, would be Snapback. People felt like they couldn't play tall characters because they were worried about getting killed by offensive fuzzy guard mix-ups. Despite that, Broly was still rated pretty high, which people were like, there's no way he gets mixed by fuzzy. But hey, He was really, really, really good. It was actually pretty hard for people to do really efficient builds off snapback and kill in 2 touches. That's why I thought, and I've repeated a lot on this channel, that I actually am of the opinion that there was never a snap meta of any sort, because even if everyone was doing it, people weren't really winning things with it. Real big issues with character selections. One is how prevalent GT was. GT basically was a meta-defining character. His assist was one of the best assists in the game. He helped out a lot of characters. He was super, super strong and enabled really, really quick, efficient kills. He was able to 4-way you off Spirit Bomb. He did a crazy amount of damage, and basically everyone felt like they had to play him. Another one is we go back to the issue with assist. So at this point, they're better at making characters straight up, but people still have an issue with picking certain characters because of what assist they have available. So I think a pretty good example of this is actually Gotenks. So Gotenks got nerfed in Season 2, but he was still a pretty good character, but the main reason you didn't see people play him was how they nerfed Galactic Donut and how hard it was for some characters to use it effectively. Compare that to how easy it is to pick GT Goku and another beam and neutral's just done. And you see why people don't necessarily go out of their way to pick some characters. So a similar thing happened to Season 1, where there's a pretty small pool of characters that are being picked. I would say in Season 2, using this tier list as an example, anyone to the right of Hit was extremely uncommon. And then straight up, the top 7 characters there, Kid Buu, GT Goku, Teen Gohan, Bardock, Adult Gohan, Trunks, and SSJ Goku were very, very common. Piccolo the base Goku were unique picks, uncommon, but common enough. Players like Wawa started showing how good base Goku was straight up. Fenrich was still motivating people to play SSJ Vegeta, and the assist was still really stupid. But again, the issue is, this is a game with Dragon Ball characters. It sucks to feel like, oh, you could only pick around like 7 to 15-ish characters and be successful. While comparing to most other fighting games, it's actually pretty good. For a game like this with such a powerful brand, I think it honestly sucks. So this brings us to my wonderfully edited, well-made, red-lined Season 3.5 tier list. So I made this tier list right after Dragon Ball Nationals, so this is my most recent tier list that I made. You probably noticed from Season 1 to Season 3, even though my Season 1 tier list wasn't lettered, I felt like probably the lowest tier in Season 1 was probably around like C+ or something. In this version, I think it's like A+. So this is easily the most balanced version of the game, and it's one of the most balanced fighting games I've ever played, which is amazing. Before I talk about things about this tier list, you gotta remember, it's grouped, not in order, so I don't think there's like a best character necessarily, like just a group of super good characters, but some things just don't change. Kid Buu, always amazing. Teen Gohan, great since Season 2. And then there are things like Bardock at S-, but when you look at the tier list, he's near the lower end, but he's still rated really highly. So character-wise, the game is in a pretty good spot right now. You can basically pick any character. The only character that I would be like, man, you have to really, really, really like the character to really want to play them would be Frieza. Besides Frieza, you can pretty much pick any character and it's fine. And the assist issue was solved because every character has 3 assists, and the devs now know what assist people like because people have been playing the same characters for 2 years. So every character has some version of a popular type of assist. Example, characters like Blue Vegeta, pretty unpopular, right? And one of the kind of lazy explanations for why people don't play him is his assist, the Big Bang attack. So what did the devs do? His B assist is a lariat. People love lariat assists. Or another one is Trunks. Trunks is a kind of weird character that's usually rated pretty highly, but also is usually not played because people say he's greedy, meaning that it's hard to put him on a team. So what did the devs do? They gave him a B assist, that's a beam. Everyone loves beams. Now this brings us to a new, kind of unusual problem of Season 3. Probably the most common problems in Season 1 and 2 are things that people don't feel like they can pick what they want, either because their character's too tall, so they feel like they're gonna get mixed really hard, or their character is not good, or they're actually not good, and they don't want to feel like they're held back. At this point in the game is pretty open. I think probably the hardest thing for people this patch is just settling on something because there's so many combinations of things that you can do. Since the characters are designed from a point of weakness, and I know I keep saying it, I'm way overdue on talking about what I mean about this, but it definitely deserves its own video. But in this game, the way it is right now, they did a really good job of trying to muddle how you actually win the game. If you yourself have been struggling with picking a team, I made some recommendations of what you could do for Season 3 earlier this year, and I have that video in the description below. I'm sure there's gonna be, and because it happened in the original tier list video where people refuse to believe that all the characters are functional, strong characters because of how hyperbolic people are when they talk about characters in this game, but I really do believe this. The characters are in a really good spot, and if this is the last version of Dragon Ball FighterZ, this is a pretty good one. As usual, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.